Donald Trump is going to take 10% ownership in Intel, and there is absolutely no peep about it, not even from Wall Street. The government just nationalizes 10% of a major industry by fiat, and that's that? There's not even a fight? There's not even a Republican dissent? There's not even a... I mean, even Democrats are supposed to be against that. Now, I'm in favor of it. I think if a company gets government money, then the government should get an ownership stake and they should get dividends until the investment that we've made is paid back. I think that's common fucking sense. To liberals and to right-wingers, that's supposed to be communism. That's supposed to be China shit. That's supposed to be Chinese state capitalism and service of... That's communism with Chinese characteristics. So, like, on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, that's good. But on the other hand, I recognize it not as a sign that we're winning, but as a sign of... I mean, it's like when you jump out of a plane and you pull the parachute ripcord and wrenches fly out of the back of your backpack. There's not even a parachute in there. And I don't care how big your brain is, like, you are in deep shit. Like, this is supposed to be the most extreme left-wing thing. He's nationalizing, he's partially nationalizing Intel. And this doesn't even get a... Can you imagine if Bernie Sanders tried to do the same thing? Do you understand the cacophony of panic? Wall Street would be... There would be a 5,000 point crash on the stock market if Bernie Sanders had done the exact same thing. But it's like it's not even happening. This is an appropriation of billions of dollars. At the same time, Donald Trump is saying he's going to fire a Federal Reserve Bank governor, Lisa Cook. This is Erdogan shit. This is Banana Republic shit. And I don't give a shit if she's the first black woman Fed chair or whatever the fuck else. It doesn't matter. The Federal Reserve and the dollar were supposed to be operated without political interference. Now, we all understand that there's no such thing as an independent institution that doesn't operate without political interference. But this is a direct intervention in the Federal Reserve and the independence of the Federal Reserve because Trump wants interest rates to go down. This is Erdogan. This is what Erdogan did to Turkey. He said, I want interest rates to go down. It didn't matter what the larger macro conditions were in Turkey. He just said, make interest rates low. And that led to a collapsing interest in the Turkish lira and a crushing of all the savings people had who were in the middle class. It was a destructive force in Turkey. And the dollar is weakening. It is back to where it was in 2021, mid-pandemic. In the grand scheme of weakness, it is certainly weaker than it's been for a very long time. We have to go back to the financial crisis in 2007 for a level where the US dollar was weakening this hard. And I think, I mean, it just seems only predictable that it's going to continue to weaken. This is the Turkification of America. I legitimately don't know what to say. Like, it's one of these things where America is built on paper mache. Jeffries on Trump, these right-wing Democrats. Donald Trump is bullying companies, micromanaging corporate decision-making, and trying to take over the Federal Reserve. Hugo Chavez would be proud. Why aren't Republicans and so-called defenders of the free market complaining? Complete phonies. He's such a fucking loser. He's such a fucking loser, dude. Because the stuff that you would think would cause Wall Street to flip out, they're not flipping out. Like this stuff, if Bernie Sanders did the exact same thing, they would be screaming that it was communism. Donald Trump does it, and Intel stock goes up. This is, ladies and gentlemen, I think the Rubicon has been passed. I think Donald Trump is successfully going to consolidate power unless we do something. I feel like the midterms are kind of going to be the point where we all kind of wake the fuck up. It's hard to believe. Like, we want to do what we've always done. We want to be like, we want to be able to just be like, hey, the things march on. You know, the Constitution says has to leave power in 3 years. How bad could it get? And he's really fucking old and unhealthy and obese. But the thing is, this isn't a dictatorship around Trump. This is a dictatorship around the Republican Party. And the Republican Party is an anti-democratic party. So is the Democratic Party, honestly. Democratic norms have been defeated in this country. Like, people do not respect. There is not a reverence for the majority anymore. There is not a respect of the loyal opposition. I don't know how you fix a country like this. I really don't know. And we're becoming more communalist every day. People rallying around division based on race and gender. I mean, the gender wars are even more cringe. And now that women are doing it too. And it's cringe as fuck. Like these annoying ass algorithms, man, driving everybody insane. Abolish the Fed and then what? Have politicians issue the currency as they wish, just like in Turkey? Is that your overall suggestion? Well, at least my student loans will be cheaper to pay off.
And on the administration's Intel stake, future deals, the U.S.-China chip war, and so much more. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick joins us this morning. Mr. Secretary, it's great to see you. We want to talk about Intel. I also want to ask your thoughts, by the way, on the Lisa Cook situation. But let's start with Intel, because I think there's a lot of questions in the business community this morning about what the administration's intention is as it relates to buying stakes in other businesses. We just had John Stankey, the CEO of AT&T, on, for example. He's doing a deal with EchoStar around broadband licenses. By the way, those licenses are U.S. licenses. The government, you could argue, subsidizes those things. And, of course, the question that we raised was, what do you think about the possibility that the government's going to come and say, hey, we would like a piece of your company, or to buy one through our sovereign wealth fund, or what have you?
Well, I think the Intel deal was a great example. The Biden administration gave, G-A-V-E, gave Intel, an American company.
Do I have any advice about chatters who are concerned about the devaluation of the dollar? I don't know, man. Like, I feel like a kook at this point, but like, it's just, they're doing shit that it's right out of Erdogan's playbook.
$11 billion grant. In exchange for nothing, to help them build semiconductors in America, which would be a really good thing. But why would you have, talk about corporate welfare. So Donald Trump sits in the room with me and Lip-Bu, the CEO of Intel, and says, come on, we've got to make it fair for America. And we agree. We get 10% of the company, which brilliantly equals $11 billion.
Now, Mr. Secretary, I don't want to relitigate the history, but just for context, and I hope you'll agree with what I'm about to say. At the time that the CHIPS Act was put together, and we could critique and criticize the CHIPS Act all you want, the idea was that we were trying to incentivize companies to do something in the U.S. that they thought was relatively uneconomic, meaning they didn't want to do this. And so the idea was, how do you incent them effectively to do that? Most of these companies wouldn't have taken the money necessarily if equity was required on the other end. The world has changed. Obviously, the tariff policy and everything else that's been put in place, and obviously Intel's, frankly, own challenges and troubles put them in a more diminished spot. In terms of just contextualizing what's happened here, is that a fair way to think about it, or do you think that the original CHIPS Act was just completely mishandled?
I think the latter. The CHIPS Act was mishandled. You've got TSMC, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation. It's worth $1 trillion. It's $1 trillion company with an almost monopoly on making wafers that you break into chips that we all know. And they agreed to build $65 billion plants in America, and the Biden administration gave them $6.5 billion, or 10%. As soon as I took this office, I called C.C. Wei. He's the CEO. We sat down and negotiated, and I said, look, this is ridiculous. I'm going to take back the $6.5 billion. This is just a corporate giveaway. You've got to do better for us. And if you remember, he came to the White House.
In February, it would have cost you $104 to buy 100 euros. Those 100 euros would convert it to $117 today. Yeah, that's a big drop.
And announced $165 billion of investment. That's what I'm talking about. At least let's make sure Americans get the benefit of the bargain.
Why do you think that all these companies didn't do this prior?
The Biden administration didn't even know how to ask, right? You've got tariffs, and you've got a real businessman, both as the Secretary of Commerce and as the President of the United States, pushing these people. Micron was getting a $2.5 billion grant to build $25 billion. They now upped it to $200 billion. Texas Instruments from $23 billion to $60 billion. Let's get the benefit of the bargain. You've got to push these people. You can't be a pushover. The Biden administration was just a pushover. That's all it was. It was just a giveaway of money. And the Trump administration is just not that.
My question on this, following on from what Andrew said, is what is the bar for the government to deserve a stake in a company for free? Because lots of companies are potentially now beneficiaries, domestic U.S. companies, of your tariffs. Is that enough to warrant a 1%, a 2%, a 3% stake for free?
No. And free is a funny way to say it. I mean, it's correct in that the Biden administration had contracted $11 billion out the door, and Donald Trump and the Trump administration turned that into $11 billion of equity. But the money was already out the door. So I think the key is, where is the United States of America adding fundamental value to your business? If we are adding fundamental value to your business, I think it's fair for Donald Trump to think about the American people. I mean, one of those issues was we give hundreds of billions of dollars to universities, and they keep the patents. Don't you think America should get a stake in the patents, that we finance the research? We give the money. I mean, if it was commercial, we surely would get a piece of these patents.
Why about defense companies, though,
for America?
Secretary? Why shouldn't the U.S. government say, you know what, we use Palantir services, we would like a piece of Palantir. We use Boeing services, we would like a piece of Boeing. There are a lot of businesses that do business with the U.S. government that benefit by doing business with the U.S. government. I guess the question is, where's the line?
There's a monstrous discussion.
By the way, Chad, I just want you to understand that if Bernie Sanders was doing this, these guys would have communist flags in the background. They'd be screaming at the top of their lungs. They would be calling for the United Nations to sanction the U.S. There would be a British prime minister saying that he's questioning the relationship of the UK with the United States. The European Union would sanction the U.S. if Bernie Sanders was doing this. Look what they're doing to Zohran Mamdani over 5 grocery stores. 5 state-owned grocery stores worth a few $1 million each. This is a multi-billion-dollar nationalization. What if can Zohran just take percentages of the grocery stores that are in New York without a peep? Is it true the dollar has collapsed in value? It's dropped quite a bit in the last year. It hasn't collapsed. It's still within the trading range of the last 10 years, but it's dropping fast. And there was an extra drop last night. I think what's happening here, chat, is I'm not good enough at communicating what's happening, or maybe you guys just don't care, and I don't know how to make you understand, because most people are socially oriented, and so their reactions and emotions feed off the reactions and emotions of others. So the fact that this is happening and people are just calmly talking about it and not really pushing back, you're not really understanding that this is a sign that Donald Trump is very close to a complete fascist takeover of our country. He's touching the money and they're not even complaining. Okay? I need you to understand how this means that he has won. He's molesting the money and they're not even saying anything. And if you understand capitalists, this is like putting a gun to their head. I am in utter disbelief that this is the reality that we're in. We're in this reality of Donald Trump is stealing billions of dollars via executive order and no one's even complaining. If Bernie Sanders tried to do the same thing, there would be a Supreme Court suit going on right now. Intel would have scoffed and said, eat shit and die, Bernie. They'd be planning a military fucking coup. The general of the Joint Chiefs of Staff would resign saying, I didn't sign up to serve in a communist dictatorship. I don't think you guys get it.
About defense. I mean, Lockheed Martin makes 97% of their revenue from the U.S. government. By the
way, he's right. Lockheed Martin should be nationalized. He's right. We shouldn't have all these fucking massive military industrial complex profiteers. We should be investigating these fuckers. We should be ringing. I mean, this is honest to God. If the United States of America under Trump nationalizes Lockheed Martin, that is the first sign that they might actually have a chance of standing up to China, because it means that they're abandoning market fundamentalism in favor of pragmatism. in favor of and they're not completely delusional about reality and about the way capitalism works. And they know that when something's actually important, it can't be trusted to the market. I mean, like, how do I get people to understand how insane this is? How do I get you to understand how insane it is? I can't get it through to you. I don't know what to do.
Basically, an arm of the U.S. government. They make exquisite munitions. I mean, amazing things that can knock a missile out of the air when it's coming towards you. But what's the economics of that? I'm going to leave that to my Secretary of Defense and the Deputy Secretary of Defense. These guys are on it and they're thinking about it. But I tell you what, there's a lot of talking that needs to be had about how do we finance our munitions acquisitions. I think a lot of that is talking. And now you have the right people in the jobs and Donald Trump at the head thinking about what is the right way to do it. I tell you, the way it has been done has been a giveaway.
I mean, they're not even complaining. They're just sitting there passively. These were the guys who didn't want to give a little bit of money to homeowners during the fucking Great Recession. They were ranting and raving about how it's communism to prevent the economy from going into full-blown depression. Now Donald Trump is seizing hundreds of billions of dollars via fiat, and they don't even have a complaint?
For some clues into that, let's get to Eamon Javers with more on the White House and the Fed. Morning, Eamon.
Yeah, good morning, Carl. You guys have been discussing it this morning. We are in uncharted waters here in the balance of power between the president and the Federal Reserve. Now, President Trump, in that termination...
And the markets are completely... my God, chat. I want you to understand that if Bernie Sanders did the exact same shit, the markets would be in free fall. There would be capital strikes. There would be capitalists moving billions of dollars overseas. There would be fucking condemnations from European countries. If Bernie Sanders did the same shit, capital would be freaking out, and they're not even complaining. He's touching the money. Like what Donald Trump is doing economically is something that I would want to have 50 million Americans organized and ready to go on general strike to achieve by a left-winger. And he's just doing it. And no one's complaining. This is like my wildest dreams, is just be like, okay, we're taking 10% ownership of this major American company. We should think about nationalizing our defense contractors. Like, this is like, I don't think people understand how that shit, left-wing, insane, socialist fucking policy Donald Trump is just doing by fiat. Now, I'm not saying he's doing socialism. I'm just saying nationalizing large American corporations, taking large ownership shares via fiat without paying anything. Like, that's crazy.
Letter to Fed Governor Lisa Cook posted on social media cited allegations by federal housing finance.
The difference is that Trump will not use it for redistribution. No, of course. You're right. Of course he won't. Which is the exact point. Nothing matters except the class war. And they think Donald Trump is on their side. They understand that nationalism, the vanity of nations, it's all fake. Everything's fake, except there's a class of owners and a class of those that don't. And they think Trump is on the side of the ownership class, and you fucking peasants are going to be ground under his boot. They're going to build drones and AI bots to surveil you. And if you ever raise a peep in protest, and if you ever raise your eye from your slave labor, they'll fucking drone your ass. That's the world they're building. We are literally cattle. I mean, the conspiracy theories of 15 years ago are now fact. The wild-eyed Alex Jones rambling is now reality, and it's being implemented. And they're doing a test run in Gaza, and there is no reaction. You're all tranquilized. You're all inert. You're all and that's us. We're the most politically aware fucking group of Americans, possibly people in the fucking world. And we're inert. We're disabled. And it's not nobody's doing a good job anywhere. It's actually insane.
Authority Director Bill Pulte.
And Alex Jones helped usher it in. The ultimate cosmic irony.
That she made false statements on applications for her personal home mortgages. The Department of Justice has said it will investigate Cook because of Pulte's claim. Now, in a statement Monday, Cook said President Trump purported to fire me for cause when no cause exists under the law and he has no authority to do so. Cook said, I will not resign. And she said, I will continue to carry out my duties to help the American economy as I've been doing since 2022. Now, Cook, who was appointed by former President Joe Biden, has hired attorney Abby Lowell to represent her. And Lowell, in a statement, said President Trump has taken to social media to once again fire by tweet. And once again, his reflex to bully is flawed and his demands lack any proper process, basis, or legal authority. Now, all of this brings up a potential months-long legal challenge in the courts. And a big question for this morning, guys, will the Fed allow Cook to have access to her work devices or to the office itself today? That's a decision for higher-ups at the Fed. Is it the HR department or is it Jay Powell himself who will decide whether Cook can come in the building or access her email this morning? That's pending, right around the opening of business today. And then the question for Powell, guys, as we tease this out a little bit farther, is if he allows Cook to have access to the building today, does that give President Trump another reason to try to fire Powell, saying for cause, because you allowed Cook in, I'm going to fire you? That's another thing to watch for as the day.
Chad, I don't know how to communicate this to you guys. I don't know how to communicate what's happening. It's not sinking in. I don't know how to communicate it. I don't know how to make you fired up. I don't know how to make you understand the level of consolidation of power of Donald Trump. Things are moving faster than we thought possible. Fascism is here. Military is being deployed to the cities. Checkpoints are popping up. He's writing executive orders that just to directly contradict Supreme Court decisions. He's nationalizing American corporations at whim. He's dismantling the independence of the Federal Reserve Bank. I don't think that people really understand. He's gerrymandering in the middle of the decade Republican states to lock down control of the House of Representatives. The only place Democrats had a real chance of taking power so that they could block him legislatively. They're very unlikely to take the Senate. And so the only chance the Democrats had of getting a check and balance on Trump was the House of Representatives. And so Donald Trump is Machiavellian in his, I'm going to just redistrict every state I can to maximize the gerrymander. He has complete confidence that the Supreme Court won't stop him. He has complete confidence that the voters or people won't care. He has complete control over the capitalist class, the Supreme Court, the legislative body, the federal government. He's got $175 billion for a Gestapo. I don't think people are waking up. It's fucking over. Why nationalizing shares of companies is fascism? The reason why it's fascism is because Donald Trump is disrespecting the norms of liberal democracy. He's disrespecting private property rights. He is seizing power through intimidation. He's seizing wealth through intimidation. These countries are giving him hundreds of billions of dollars at his whim because they're worried that he'll use the federal government to oppress them. And so they're just complying. And he's not taking that money in order to increase redistribution of wealth or to check the capitalist class. He's doing so to consolidate power around himself. And he's doing so by trampling on the thing that liberals are supposed and capitalists are supposed to care about the most. He's showing the supremacy of the Trump-led state over all factions of society. He is engaging in corporatism and a Mussolini-style political economy. The stress is the last people really to oppose Trump was the capitalist class with its trillions. The capitalist class rolling over and allowing it means he has won. That's exactly right. There is not any resistance to anything Trump is doing. For a long time, liberal Democrats especially, they thought the capitalists would stand up to Trump. And the capitalists are signaling they will not. And the Democrats have destroyed every other center of possible power and resistance to Trumpism because of their service of the fucking AIPAC genocide. They have destroyed and targeted the left. Since Bernie Sanders popped up, they have focused all of their energy on suppressing the populist left and progressive left in this country and capitulating and appeasing the right. And so we have no forms of resistance that are constituted. And the fantasy of liberal centrist Democrats that the capitalists would keep Donald Trump in check has been fully discredited. We are in trouble, folks. We are in deep deep, deep, deep trouble.
Unfolds today. So very uncertain territory.
You are in Fed history here. You know, people are bringing up the idea of previous Fed governors, whether it's Kaplan or Rosengren and others, where there were allegations of some improprieties and they stepped down. Is that an appropriate an appropriate allusion to make here in terms of the current state of affairs with Fed Governor Cook?
Well, in this case, the Fed governor hasn't agreed that she did anything wrong, right? And there's been no adjudication of that through any formal process, just an allegation by a Trump administration official. So I think you're more looking at a similarity with Rebecca Slaughter over at the FTC earlier this year. The president tried to fire her. She fought that decision. It ended up in the courts. A lower court, a district court, ruled in her favor. And then she returned to work after that. And then we saw an appeals court say, actually, we're going to put a stay on this. So Slaughter was not able to go back to work, had to leave the building. And that is all pending in the courts right now. I was texting with Rebecca Slaughter this morning, and I can tell you what she said to me over text this morning as the former FTC official fired by Trump. If the higher courts aren't going to check the president, he's going to keep pushing the envelope and removing the instruments of market stability to fulfill his short-term political goals. What Slaughter said to me this morning over text was, my big point is markets should be worried. Absolutely all checks on monetary policy independence are going out the window, guys.
I'm speechless. The stock market is flat.
He said to me over text this morning, as the former FTC official fired by Trump, if the higher courts aren't going to check the president, he's going to keep pushing the envelope and removing the instruments of market stability to fulfill his short-term political goals. What Slaughter said to me this morning over text was, my big point is markets should be worried. Absolutely all checks on monetary policy independence are going out the window, guys.
Well, okay, Sam, why would she not just present everything she's ever done with mortgages, which I know her lawyer might not want to do, and just say, look, there's nothing wrong here, and move on? Because if the Justice Department isn't taking action right now, and we see her documents, and her documents are innocent, well, I mean, that's going to be very difficult to have cause if her documents are innocent.
Sure.
Why don't we just see the documents?
I mean, there's two possibilities here, Jim, right?
She should put them out this morning.
There's two possibilities, right? One is her documents are clean. The other is they're not, right? And that the FHFA has found something that she did that was check-a-box inappropriate. And then the question is, can she fight it even if that's the case, right? And I think her legal defense is, and this will be for Abby Lowell to decide, of course, but I think her legal defense here would be the predicate for this investigation was itself political. This is a witch hunt, not a broad look at particular mortgage issues in the market, but this was an attempt to target me specifically, therefore it's illegitimate. I would guess the question is going to be, why did Bill Pulte pull these documents in the first place? Was there any predicate for him legally other than politics to look at this?
Well, look, if we see the documents and there's nothing, and she shows you the documentation, I think the president may have to go back on this.
The loans we believe.
If there's nothing, but if there's something, it's another case, right?
Oh, absolutely. If there's something, it's what David talked about, which is a proprietary. It's a propriety issue. Propriety is,
was this a proper investigation? Was it conducted for?
Look at the way that Jim Cramer is supporting fascism, which is all of us make mistakes. I'm sure 20 years ago when I filed my first tax return, maybe I didn't put some sort of tax credit, or I claimed something I should have claimed. I made some sort of error on some tax credit somewhere along the line. I'm not infallible. I'm not saying I knowingly did it, but let's just say that all of us make mistakes. Maybe we make estimations, right? And Donald Trump is the king of this. He's done it a million fucking times, where he's undervalued his property when it's being valued for property taxes and overvalued it when he has been trying to get loans. Donald Trump does that every fucking day. But if you selectively enforce the rules and you target your political enemies, that is not legitimate. If you're selectively applying the rules only to your enemies, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say that they get total AI panopticon ability to judge the speed of cars on the highway. Let's say they get a traffic monitoring system that is aware of every single car on the road and exactly where they are on the highway and how fast they're going. And all of us drive 10 miles over the speed limit, but no one ever gets a ticket because that is the standard and practice of driving. Everybody drives 10 miles over the speed limit on the highway, at least, right? Like that is the actual speed limit. If you're not at least 10 over, you're going slow. Everybody's pissed. What if, when they have this panopticon monitoring, they just decide we're going to give every single Democrat who goes 1 mile over the speed limit a fucking speeding ticket? And they start flooding every Democrat with speeding tickets. Every time you go out on the street, you're getting another speeding ticket because you're a Democrat. Technically, you sped. But guess what? Now you have 100 fucking speeding tickets. You're fucking ruined. You lose your license. You owe tens of or hundreds of thousands of dollars in speeding tickets. Meanwhile, Republicans are going 80 and a 65. No problem. That would be fascist. That would be illegitimate. Because you're selectively applying the law only to your political enemies. And you're going against what is the pattern and normal pattern and practice of behavior. That is selective prosecution. And we are in this reality. We are in this reality now where Donald Trump abuses the government to target his political enemies. They are doing exactly what they accuse the Democrats of doing, politicizing the government, politicizing our investigatory bodies. And there's really no justification for it.
Political reasons or not.
Right. That was the discovery we mentioned a moment ago. We think the loans were outside the scope of her office and through credit unions, not under Fed authority.
Right. But I would just I would end this thing today. I would say, look, here's everything I've done. This is not insane. Look, if you traded on something, you don't really have anything to show. It's good. But if you did a mortgage, say, listen.
They're already doing this with green card holders. Basically, green card holders are now censored in this country. They don't feel like they have constitutional rights. That is in prima facie violation of the Constitution. The Constitution says that it applies to all people within the jurisdiction of the United States, whether they are citizens, whether they are green card holders, whether they are guests, whether they're here illegally. The Constitution says on its face that the constitutional rights apply. And Donald Trump is violating the Constitution. He is betraying the Constitution. Prima facie, on its face, there is no debate. There's no logical construction. There's no confusion. It says it in plain text. He is violating his oath. He is violating the Constitution. I mean, it's just that fucking simple. An equivalent would be him going, I've decided through executive order that every state that voted for me in the election gets an additional senator. So every state that voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election gets an additional senator to be sworn in to the Senate. That is in direct violation of the Constitution. He is in direct violation of the Constitution. And he's giving himself powers he doesn't have.
Here, America, there's 300 million people who do this. Here's mine. Here's what my house is valued at. Here's what I did with that. I mean, I have a credit union thing. I show you that. And you say, here, you think I'm fraudulent? I don't know. Tell me. I got the loan. The bank said it was okay. What's the issue? That could really hurt. That could hurt this whole thing. That's what I'd do if I were her.
We're obviously going to keep a close eye on it today, and keep a close eye on Fed headquarters.
I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say.